Measured, immersive. Welcome to the 4th century AD. The kingdom of Aksum is at its zenith, and its capital is dominated by these massive monoliths, casting long shadows over the landscape. This ancient map shows exactly why Aksum held such power. Positioned right here at the bottleneck of the Red Sea, the kingdom functioned as a dominant trade cartel, controlling the flow of goods between the Eastern Roman Empire and Persia. Through the port city of Autodidact, Aksum monopolized the inland ivory trade and dictated terms on the primary maritime shipping routes connecting Africa, Arabia, and the Greco-Roman world. A trade-based empire carries massive inherent vulnerability. To secure trade agreements and prevent costly proxy wars, Aksum had to project an unassailable image of strength to every foreign diplomat and merchant passing through its territory. Economists call the solution conspicuous state consumption. This is the intentional wasting of economic and caloric resources to signal structural integrity to rivals. Expending massive amounts of food, labor, and time on an object with zero defensive or practical utility proves an empire has vast surplus resources to burn. The megalithic architecture of Aksum operated as a highly calculated geopolitical deterrent designed to intimidate the ancient world's superpowers. The extreme, absolute manifestation of this deterrent was the Great Stele, a 33-meter, 500-ton solid block of granite. The surface of this stele lacks abstract decorative patterns. Instead, these carvings are exact replicas of structural elements. They represent the standard architecture of a 9-story Aksumite elite timber and stone palace, meticulously carved down to the false lock plates and the protruding beam ends. Consider the mechanical absurdity of this choice. Stacking smaller stones to build a multi-story structure is standard engineering. Carving a life-sized, multi-story building out of a single, continuous piece of bedrock requires immense intentional friction. A 33-meter monolith dominates the capital skyline, forcing the eye upward and making it unavoidable for any visiting envoy. This physically impossible object operated as a permanent billboard. It proved Aksum possessed absolute mass labor mobilization, warning rivals that an empire capable of moving mountains could easily mobilize armies. To understand the scale of this operation, we have to look past the pristine capital and examine the remote Tigray Plateau granite quarries. Granite is a high-density igneous rock. Penetrating it requires ancient tools, forged with highly specific metallurgical properties to maintain an edge without shattering upon impact. Before a single strike occurred, a highly organized hierarchy of stonecutter guilds had to map the invisible natural fracture lines running deep within the bedrock. Heavy iron chisels were driven forcefully into those fractures. Workers applied localized thermal shock, rapidly heating and cooling the stone, and used expanding wooden wedges to split a clean 33-meter continuous slab without shattering its structural core. The extraction phase alone required mathematical precision, geological intuition, and a level of guild coordination rivaling modern industrial mining operations. Once extracted, the engineers faced a severe mechanical problem, transporting a 500-ton mass over several miles of uneven terrain without the use of wheeled axles. A 500-ton load is distributed across a wooden sledge, resting on timber rollers to overcome static friction. The primary hemp ropes operate at their breaking point. To generate pulling force, engineers calculated the exact biological engine required: thousands of draft animals and human laborers. Maintaining unified tension meant syncing thousands of laborers with strict auditory and visual signals, like drumbeats, ensuring every unit pulled at the exact same millisecond. Off-screen, a macroeconomic supply chain ran continuously. Workers cycled out crushed timber rollers, replaced frayed ropes, and reinforced the dirt ramps. Then there are the caloric distribution networks. Keeping those biological engines operating at peak output required a daily logistical operation, moving immense tonnages of food and water. Moving the stone was a flawless execution of applied mechanics, friction mitigation, and mass caloric logistics. Back at the Royal Cemetery in the capital, the engineers faced the final, most structurally dangerous phase, the erection kinematics.
They constructed massive temporary earthen ramp systems leading into deep pivot trenches to guide the base of the stele upward. This tracks the critical pivot point. As the stele is pulled past a 45-degree angle, its 500-ton center of gravity rapidly shifts, caught by massive countertension pulleys. Reaching vertical, the mass creates extreme localized ground pressure, transferring directly into the bedrock below. This immense downward pressure is applied directly over extensive hollow subterranean tomb complexes, like the Tomb of the Brick Arches, located directly beneath the stele field. To prevent these subterranean crypts from instantly collapsing under the load, the builders employed advanced vaulted arch engineering. Executing this high-risk erection maneuver directly over a hollow crypt proves the Aksumites possessed a rigorous mathematical understanding of structural load-bearing. But the historical reality of the Great Stele ends in disaster. During the erection process, the massive countertension systems gave way, and the 33-meter monolith crashed to the earth, shattering into the segments you see here. This failure is undeniable evidence of Aksum pushing the absolute theoretical limits of human-powered engineering. The smaller, successful standing stele, towering at 23 meters, remained unparalleled engineering feats that dominated the landscape long after Aksum's political decline. These structures exerted a lasting psychological hold on the region, prompting later empires to capture them as the ultimate prizes of geopolitical conquest. It brings us back to the initial mandate. These stones operated as permanent weapons of psychological and economic warfare. The kingdom of Aksum reshaped the earth to its will, leaving an indestructible, millennia-old warning about the limits of ancient state capacity.